At Bill's house, Finn tells Grace that she owes Liam the truth about his brain cancer. Liam and Hope assume it is back. Grace gulps and says, "There is no cancer. There is no tumor." Hope and Liam chuckle with relief. "You really are a miracle worker," Liam assures her. Liam continues to laud Grace and Hope goes on. They actually say pile it on thick. Finn finally interrupts and encourages Liam to listen to Grace as she explains exactly what happened with his brain tumor. In Forrester's design office, Katie and Bill discuss Bill's regrets, including the near loss of his kid. According to Bill, Grace Buckingham's performance was remarkable and well worth the money. All 1 million of them. Katie frowns. The circumstances are odd, given that Liam was still healing from a gunshot wound. Bill maintains that Grace rescued Liam from the brink of death. She is a saint. Bill tells Katie that after nearly losing his child, he now has his priorities straight. He regrets how he treated Liam and believes he acted like a tyrant. Katie claims it is different now that he gets a second opportunity with him. Bill once again thanks Grace Buckingham. He regrets breaking Luna out of prison and owes Grace far more than $1 million. Grace informs Liam and Hope at Bill's house that she accomplished something right then. She admits that she manipulated the scans. Liam gasps. "What are you saying?" Grace blurts out that the mass was never there. She made it appear as if he had a cancerous tumor, although he did not. Liam is perplexed as he exhibited symptoms of brain cancer. Grace insists that there was no tumor. Hope adds, "But you operated." Grace explains she made it appear as if she did. Liam gives an uneasy laugh. He has sutures on his head. Grace tells him that she gave him a medication to induce symptoms so that she might treat him. As Liam questions why she would do that, Hope bellows that she can think of a reason. 1 million reasons. Liam lunges at Buckingham as Finn steps between them. Liam rages, "You've put me through hell. And my family. For months." Grace sobs, "I'm sorry." Finn repeats what Grace did, and Liam tears into her again. She pleads to explain. Hope yells, "We do not want to hear you explain." She informs her that she is as terrible as her ex-husband. Grace tells them she is not. The bookies wanted Reese's money, but he was in jail, so they went after her and her daughters. Liam claims it's still extortion. She presented herself as a god. Hope walks over to Grace and gives her a hard soap slap. "You're sick," she growls. Liam reminds Grace that no matter how sorry or afraid she is, she robbed him and his family of months of their lives. Grace will turn herself in since she will be haunted by this for her entire life. Finn says he will take her to the police station. When Hope is alone, she lets out her emotions and weeps for what Liam has gone through, hugging him close. Sheila wonders in Lee's office what's going on with all the medications that have fallen out of her handbag. She also wants to know where Luna's remains are. Lee scorns Sheila's desire to see her granddaughter. Sheila resists, saying she wants to show her respects. Lee has no time for this and walks away. Sheila, alone, discovers one of the medications on the floor and looks thoughtful. Lee is caring for Luna at home when she hears a knock on the door. A voice says, "Delivery." Lee opens the door, and Sheila traps her foot inside when she tries to slam it shut. Sheila gasps about her toes and says, "I understand what you're doing, Lee." Sheila insists that she knows Lee's secret. She takes out the medicine she left behind and tells her she must be grieving more than she realized if she has turned to this. Lee hisses, "I'm not doing drugs, Sheila," and attempts to get rid of her. Sheila pretended to leave and then pushed her way into the house. "What's going on, Lee?" Lee grits, "Get out, Sheila." But we all know it will not work. Sheila pulls back the curtain and discovers Luna in bed. She cries, "Luna! She is alive. My grandchild is alive." At the hospital, Grace and Finn talk about what she did to Liam. She begs him to protect their secret. "Please, Finn." Grace insists that the bookies are following her and her girls. Finn asks, "What about Liam's daughters?" He mentions that they may want additional money. Grace is confident that won't happen and begs to keep her medical license. "Please don't tell a soul." Finn has no idea who he's staring at and yells about her exploiting Liam. Grace reiterates that she was attempting to save her children. In case we forgot, she explains what Reese did to Hope and Liam years ago. Finn informs her that she did the same thing. She led Liam to feel he was dying. He can't remain silent about it. Finn tells Grace, You need to confess. Liam will be concerned that his cancer may return. Grace asks for more time, fearing she may lose her license and face prison. She sobs, saying she'd do anything for his silence. Finn eventually promises he won't tell Liam. But psych! You are. Liam casually drops a bomb at Bill's house. Hope gets off the phone and informs Liam that Ridge had saved Brooke from a boat crash in Italy. When discussing Bill's adoration for him, Liam expresses his willingness to go above and beyond for him. Hope is astonished to learn that Dad paid $1 million on the procedure and wired it to Dr. Buckingham the instant she asked, "Where is Luna?" Sheila at Il Giardino is staring into space. Deacon finally gets her attention, and she laments about not getting an answer from Lee. Why won't she tell her where Luna is so she can pay her respects? Deacon informs his wife that Luna has left, which is a good thing as she is no longer a part of their lives. The best thing she can do is get this out of her head. Deacon, who has no idea what is going on at Lee's, promises Sheila that her granddaughter would not return. At Lee's, she touches Luna's hair and encourages her to hold on. "I won't let this be the end for you." Lee knows her niece/granddaughter requires additional medication. She does not want to leave her, but she needs to rush to the hospital. She's determined to give her the second chance she deserves, which she should have had years ago. At the meal, Deacon realizes he does not want to inflict Sheila any more anguish than she already has. Sheila knows. Stroking his face, she resolves to find Finn and reminds him that Steffi is out of town. Despite the incident, she believes they may get along better now. Deacon marvels at this. He warns Sheila that she needs to hear the voice of reason. No one is ever going to see her again. Sheila comes into Lee's empty office, and April the lab tech appears, informing her that Dr. Finnegan has taken a leave of absence from the hospital. Sheila snuggles up to April and asks if she can help her find Luna's remains, musing that Luna's death may have hurt Lee more than she realized. Lee is currently leaving her residence to go to the hospital. Sheila prods April to find out what they did with Luna's remains. April checks the system and finds that there is no record. She leaves and Sheila is ready to follow when Lee enters. They collide and medication spills from Finnegan's handbag. As Lee rushes to get the medications, Sheila demands her to inform her. "Where is my granddaughter? Will Grace come clean?" Hope is at Bill's house, attempting to figure out why Bill wired the money to Grace before the procedure. Just suddenly, Finn and Grace enter. She wants to go because Liam has a visitor, but they start gushing about how she saved his life. They owe her so much. Hope expresses how difficult it was for her and Steffi to realize their daughters might lose their father. It is a miracle. Liam compliments Grace for her bravery. Grace does not deserve it. "You have no idea what's actually going on here." Finn responds, "Go ahead, Grace. Tell them. Tell the truth about Liam's brain cancer." Grace sat in the dimly lit living room, her hands clutched tightly in her lap, fingers twisting frantically around each other. The air was thick with tension, the type that comes before a storm. Her husband, Daniel, sat across from her on the worn leather couch, his brow furrowed, eyes locked on the coffee table as if it contained the answers to the questions he hadn't asked yet. The clock on the mantel ticked loudly, each second a hammer blow against the delicate silence. Grace had mentally practiced this moment 100 times, but now that it was here, the words felt like shards of glass in her throat. She took a big breath, her voice shaking as she started. "Daniel, I need to tell you something." Her words lingered in the air, weighty and permanent. Daniel's gaze jumped up, his eyes narrowing slightly, and a flicker of discomfort crossed his features. He didn't say anything, but his quiet served as an invitation, a demand that she continue. "I've been keeping something from you," Grace explained, barely above a whisper. "Something big." She hesitated, scanning his face for a reaction, but he remained motionless, his expression unreadable. "I did not intend for it to happen." Daniel leaned forward and gripped the edge of the couch. "What are you talking about, Grace?" His voice was low and controlled, but it had an edge to it, alerting her that she was on dangerous ground. Grace swallowed hard, her heart hammering so loudly that she knew he could hear it. "It was last summer when you were traveling on business in Chicago. I met someone." The confession was direct and unfiltered, and the space felt smaller around them. Daniel's expression stiffened and his jaw tightened as the weight of her words sank in. "Did you meet someone?" he repeated, his voice cold and every syllable clipped. What does this mean, Grace? Be clear. Her gaze shifted to the floor, unwilling to meet him. It was a mistake, she replied swiftly, as if haste could soothe the hurt. It was only one night. I was lonely and you were gone and I'm not sure what I was thinking. I'm so sorry, Daniel. The silence that followed was terrible. Daniel stood abruptly, his hands locked into fists by his sides. He walked the room, his steps heavy on the hardwood floor. Grace watched him, her stomach churning from guilt and anxiety. She knew this would hurt him, but seeing the sorrow engraved in his features was more than she could have imagined. Are you sorry? Daniel eventually spoke, his voice rising. Are you sorry? Grace, we have been married for 10 years. 10 years. And you throw it away for a night with a stranger? He stopped pacing and turned to face her, his eyes filled with rage and betrayal. Who was it? Do I know him? Grace shook her head, tears filling her eyes. You don't know him. It was someone from work. A temp who only stayed for a few weeks. It meant nothing, Daniel. I swear it was a mistake. Daniel's laugh was sour and devoid of humor. A mistake is failing to pay a bill or burning dinner. This, Grace? This is a decision. You chose to betray me. The words stabbed deep, and Grace felt them lodge in her chest, piercing and unwavering. She wanted to fight, to explain that it wasn't as simple as a choice, that she'd been drowning in loneliness and despair. But she knew it would be pointless. Not now. Not when the truth was made clear between them. Sheila Carter was sifting through an old photograph box in a little apartment across town, which was packed with books and half-finished paintings. She was cleaning out her attic, a duty she had put off for years, when she came across the box nestled away in the corner. It was labeled Memories, but she couldn't remember when she had last peeked inside. Curiosity got the best of her, and she sat cross-legged on the floor, thumbing through old Polaroids and yellowed letters. Sheila's life had always consisted of passive observation. She was the type of person who observed subtleties that others overlooked. The way a stranger's smile faded. The slight shift in someone's tone when they were concealing something. It was what made her such an excellent friend to Grace. But she had just noticed something amiss. Grace had been aloof, her laughter forced, and her eyes carried a weight that Sheila couldn't quite identify. But Sheila had not pressured, expecting Grace to come to her when she was ready. As Sheila went deeper into the box, her fingers brushed upon a small unlabeled packet. It was sealed, with worn edges that indicated it had been handled frequently but never opened. She gingerly tore it apart, discovering a single sheet of paper folded within. The handwriting was strange, written in black ink, and as she started reading, her breath seized in her throat. The letter was not addressed to anyone in particular, but the contents were explosive. It described a brief but passionate affair between two people with no business being together. The author detailed stolen moments in a hotel room, the pleasure of secret, and the remorse that came afterwards. Sheila's heart stopped when she read the final line. I can't hide this from Daniel any longer. Sheila's thoughts raced. I have to tell him about us. The letter was not signed, but the timing and mention of Daniel indicated that it was from Grace. She reread the letter, her hands quivering, looking for any evidence that could disprove her suspicion. However, the pieces fit too perfectly. Grace had been acting strangely for months, and Sheila now realized why. Her best friend has been keeping a secret that could end her marriage. Sheila sat back, the letter clasped in her fingers, her thoughts racing. She wasn't sure what to do. Confront Grace? Tell Daniel? Or keep it to herself, hoping the truth would remain hidden? The weight of the discovery pressed down on her, heavy and oppressive. She had always taken pride in her loyalty, but now she was divided between her buddy and the truth. Back at home, Grace and Daniel's dispute had gotten heated. Voices rose and words flew like daggers. Daniel demanded details, where, when, and why, while Grace strained to explain, her apologies drowning in the torrent of his fury. The living room, which had previously been a place of shared laughter and pleasant evenings, now felt like a battlefield. Do you believe you can just say sorry and things will go away? Daniel said, his face flushed. Do you know what this does to me? To us? I understand, Grace wept, her voice breaking. I am aware that I made a mistake, Daniel. I loathe myself for it. But I do adore you. I have always adored you. Can't we work this out? Daniel shook his head, his face one of incredulity and agony. Can we work through this? Grace, you breached our vows. You broke us. How am I expected to trust you again? The question remained unanswered. Grace had no retort and no way of undoing what she had done. She grabbed for him, but he backed away, his rejection a physical blow. He took his jacket from the back of the chair and went to the door. Where are you going? Grace inquired, panic rising in her chest. I need space, Daniel explained without turning around. I can't be here right now. The door slammed behind him, reverberating around the home. Grace collapsed on the floor, her body quivering with sobbing. She knew confessing would be difficult, but she had not expected this, the raw, gaping wound she had caused on the man she loved. She wondered if she'd ever be able to fix it, or if this was the end of everything they'd created together. Meanwhile, Sheila sat in her flat with the letter in her hand. She had spent the last hour pacing and considering her next move. Part of her wanted to call Grace and demand answers, to understand how her friend could have hidden something like this from her. But another part of her, one that had witnessed too many friendships shattered by deception, urged caution. She did not want to jump to conclusions, but the evidence was overwhelming. Finally, she picked up the phone and dialed Grace's number. It rang twice before Grace's tear-filled voice came through. Sheila? I can't talk right now. Grace, what's wrong? Sheila inquired, her heart sinking. She could sense the pain in her friend's voice, which confirmed her darkest thoughts. I told him, Grace explained, her voice scarcely audible. I told Daniel everything. Sheila tightened her grip on the phone. Everything? Do you mean about the affair? There was a lengthy gap before Grace spoke, her voice small and weak. Do you know? I found a letter, Sheila replied, her voice soft yet forceful. It was in an old box. Grace, why didn't you tell me? Grace muttered. I couldn't. I felt so humiliated. I did not want anyone to know, especially you. You are my best friend, Sheila. I did not want you to think less of me. Sheila's heart wrenched. She wanted to be outraged, to strike out at Grace for keeping her secret, but the pain in her friend's voice was too intense. I don't think less of you, she admitted finally. But this is big, Grace. What happened? Who was it? Grace hesitated before recounting the story, her words sluggish and heavy with sadness. It was a coworker, someone who had been kind to her during a difficult time, someone who had made her feel seen when Daniel's long hours at work had rendered her invisible. It was a moment of weakness, she admitted, a lack in judgment that she has regretted ever since. Sheila listened as her thoughts raced with questions. The letter named Daniel by name but did not specify who the other person was. She wondered whether there was more to the story, and if Grace was still holding back. But she did not press. Not yet. What did Daniel say? Sheila asked instead. He's gone, Grace announced, her voice breaking again. He left. I'm not sure if he'll return. Sheila closed her eyes, the gravity of the situation sinking in. She had no idea how to fix it, or whether it could be fixed at all. But one thing was certain. The truth had a way of unraveling everything, and once it was revealed, nothing would be the same. As the night passed, Grace sat alone in the house, the silence suffocating. She reflected on the life she and Daniel had created, the vacations, the late-night conversations, and the dreams they shared. Everything felt so delicate right now, like a house of cards on the verge of collapsing. She wasn't sure if Daniel would forgive her, or if she even deserved it. All she knew was that she had taken a decision and now had to deal with the repercussions. Across town, Sheila reinserted the note into its envelope, her head still reeling. She had no idea what to do with it, or how to help her friend handle the aftermath of her revelation. But she knew one thing. Secrets had a way of surfacing, and this one had only recently begun to reverberate across their lives. The fallout lasted for several days afterward. Daniel stayed at a friend's house and refused to answer Grace's calls. Sheila tried to support her buddy, but the letter weighed heavy on her conscience. She couldn't ignore the sensation that there was more to the story than Grace was giving her. And as she went deeper, piecing together pieces of conversations and half-remembered moments, she began to believe that the affair wasn't as straightforward as Grace had made it appear. The reality, it appeared, was far from done with them.